the more that I start to evolve, the more that I see the world evolving as well. But the thing is, we still don't know the difference between judgment and discernment. See, judgment stems from the human ego perspective, whereas discernment stems from the spiritual higher conscious perspective. And a lot of us still don't understand that we're not just human. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. See, judgment creates separation, which creates fear. Whereas discernment connects us to our intuition in order to have our mind and our heart and our physical essence connect to a higher collective consciousness. And why is this relevant today? Because a lot of things are coming to the surface and being exposed. And the thing is, it's time that we start listening to our intuition rather than listening to our fearful minds. This is irrelevant today. And the reason why, well, we got to dive into today's video so we can understand how to start listening to the power within us and how to stop giving our power away. What is Gooch, you beautiful beings? Welcome back, AwakenOnes, on another episode on Embracing Essential Series with your homegirl, Brittany Fontanez. If you're new to this channel, so glad to have you here, and you've been on this journey with me so far. So thankful that you have been on this journey with me. Other than that, beautiful beings, don't mind my stuffy nose. This is a detox. This is a cleanse. A lot of sickness has been taking place, but I know it's for a reason. And that is the reason I want to get into today, is judgment versus discernment. How to start seeing from the spiritual perspective rather than the human perspective. So, as of lately, there is a lot of things that we have started to realize that we give in so much power to. Power to authoritative figures, power to the government, power to whatever that we deem is keeping us in control. We have given our power to that very thing. And little by little, it has been creeping in to wanting to express its own perspective, meaning the Balenciaga incident. Or I know I watched a video yesterday of a guy walking down the street. I think it was Australia, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a huge, painting on the wall of a man in bondage on the couch with a teddy bear mask on. And, they vandalized it, which is beautiful. And this is why I want to talk about judgment versus discernment, because a lot of us are starting to awaken to the lies that we have been told. And those lies are being exposed. And the things that we have given our power to, thinking that it's going to give us life, thinking that it's going to keep us safe, has been giving us false sense of hope and safety. And this is not to keep you in a state of fear or to make you fearful. The reason why I feel this needs to be discussed is because a lot of us are starting to recognize that our intuition is starting to speak more than our mind. And it's to the point that a lot of us are starting to understand that there's no reason to fear, but there's everything to speak up about. And that's why I want to talk about judgment versus discernment, because judgment, like I said in the beginning, creates divide. It creates separation. When we judge, when we gossip, when we say bad things, when we are not really seeing the full story or the full perspective of something, we judge it. And we stem our opinion about it. But the thing is, when we do this, it's only coming from a state of fear. It's only coming from the lack of wanting to understand. And as of lately for me, I started to really evolve immensely. That's why I really haven't been on social media. That's why I really haven't been posting much, because my heart and my mind are really, really desiring to connect with one another. And because of this, I really started to see that I really can't have superficial conversations anymore. I really can't have small talk anymore. I really feel as if me trying to fit in and be like everyone else is being a disservice to myself and being a disservice to those very people that meet me. And because of this, I started to realize that, wow, the more that we start to evolve, the more that we start to change our perspective, we start to see more of the synchronizations within that in our outer world and within the collective as well. And as a lot of things are starting to be lifted, because here's the thing, a lot of people think the apocalypse is starting to happen, but the thing is, we're already in it. And the apocalypse has nothing to do with the world being destroyed. It has everything to do with the lifting of the veil, lies being exposed and truths being told. And as the energetic collective is starting to arise into more love rather than fear, a lot of those things that have been keeping us trapped, keeping us limited, has really made our soul, made our heart, made our higher self want to burst out and take control. Not in the way where the mind takes control and the ego takes control that makes us judge everything around us and not be curious about it, hence why we stay in autopilot, but in a way where we are looking at everything and questioning it and owning our sovereignty. Because here's the thing, sovereignty is not power. Sovereignty is you understanding that I have the right to choose. Whereas power is I'm going to take for myself and not give anything or care about anything outside of me. And that's where we have given so much of our sovereignty to these people who are in power, that are controlling our world, that aren't really serving us. But the reason why I want to share this video today is because when you learn the gift of discernment that we all have, because we're not just human, we're spiritual beings as well. When we start to develop this gift of discernment, we start to listen to ourselves more than listening to the outer world. And the more that we listen to ourselves, the more that we feel safe in who we are. And here's the thing, a lot of us don't feel safe in this world. This is why we judge. This is why we opinionate, because we fear this world. We fear ourselves. And judgment is the first thing that we're ever taught when we exist. God judges us. Our parents judge us. School teachers judge us. Everything. People judge us. So therefore, as we get older, we think judgment is discernment. We think judgment is our sense of power. But the thing is, when we judge, we lack learning. And this is where fear-based comes in. This is where scarcity comes in. This is where foolish mentality comes in. Like that quote says, the man who thinks he knows everything is a fool, but the one who thinks he knows nothing is willing to learn it all. And I highly agree with that. And this is why I feel discernment is a beautiful thing. And this is why I think it's beautiful that a lot of us are starting to wake up to starting to question everything. Because discernment is your intuition letting you know, is this right? Is this wrong? This is what feels good to us. Not in a way where you're gratifying in the ego, but in a way where you really are protecting yourself. And the thing is, you guys, the more that the world is evolving, we're starting to see that this is not just a psychological warfare. This is a spiritual warfare going on, man. The programs that we are shown through TV, as we are shown through our cell phones, through advertisements, through different influencers, there is an essence behind that very thing. And sometimes we don't see that. This is why the intuition comes in. This is how discernment comes in, is because the intuition picks up things that the mind and the eyes and the physical essence and the five senses cannot pick up. This is why discernment is very important, because with discernment, you are listening and trusting into your intuition. And the thing is, you come onto this planet by yourself, you leave by yourself. If you don't listen to who you are on the outside, you will always be controlled on the outside. And that's not why you're here. You're here to develop something. You're here to cultivate something. You're here to express something the world has yet to see. But you can't do that if you're judging everything. Because the thing is, when we are taught judgment, God judges us. What if I told you that was a lie? What if I told you that we were taught particular things as in fear and judgment, so the mind could be limited. Because the thing is, when we're always in a state of fear and judgment, the mind is trapped. And if anything, it makes us more naive, and it makes us make decisions that are not really healthy for us. So we are taught specific things to go along with this program that keeps the world in a state of limitation. But discernment is happening because a lot of us, not just in the spiritual community, but a lot of people, a lot of human beings, a lot of individuals are starting to realize they don't feel safe. They don't feel at home with themselves. And now they're starting to go within rather than looking without. And through this, we're starting to understand that we have the gift of discernment, meaning that we already have an intuition. We have that gut instinct of, this doesn't feel right. When I watch that doesn't feel good. When I'm around these certain people, that doesn't feel right. When I'm having this conversation, I don't feel like I'm really being myself. When I see certain things, it just doesn't feel good to me. That is the gift of discernment. And I'm here to tell you, do not shut out that voice. Do not shut out that voice. Because the thing is, discernment teaches you how to make yourself a priority because you are one. We can't be in this world judging, criticizing, limiting, because what we're doing is we're doing it to ourselves, and we're doing a disservice to our existence. So the very reason why I'm sharing this with you today is because our higher self, our higher collective conscious self, is wanting to connect with our human self so we could come into alignment within this world and not fear anymore, but be in the highest state of vibration, which is of love. And with love comes discernment, comes self-awareness, comes self-accountability and acknowledgement. Whereas judgment only stems from separation, overstimulation, coping mechanisms, fear-based autopilot ways of thinking and being, and no sense of wanting to take accountability or responsibility. And we can no longer live that way, because when we do, we're always blaming. And that's never going to solve the problems of this world. And here's the thing, you guys, 11:11, as I see that, is that we are part of the problem of this world. You are part of the problem of why you're not happy. You are part of the problem of why this world is the way that it is. As much as you think you're not important, you really are. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't exist. So I share this with you today because that inner voice that you're ignoring, that's only getting louder and louder and louder and louder, is only wanting you to see your mission here. It's only wanting you to understand that you have a higher way of thinking, a higher way of being, regardless if you don't fit in, regardless if you're not understood, regardless if you're not seen. It's not your job to be loved. It's not your job to be seen. It's your job to express the authenticity that lies within you. And that starts from listening to that intuition, that gut feeling of when you need to say no, when you need to set boundaries, when you know something doesn't feel right to you, when you know you need to let go of things. And the thing is, you guys, with this gift of discernment is going to come from you facing that ultimate fear that you have, the fear of letting go, the fear of standing up for yourself, the fear of saying no. And it's okay to fear that fear. It's okay to feel that fear, because we're not meant to run away from fear the same way we can't kill our ego. But the thing is, we have to understand that there's more than the ego and there's more than fear. And when we stop feeding them and start feeding into love and start feeding our intuition, start feeding our spiritual self, we start to realize that everything that we've been taught and been programmed is not who we really are. And I share this with you guys is for you to no longer fear the power that lies within you and to no longer fear the power that's outside of you, but to start realizing that you have the right to decide what is right for you and what is right for what you feel for people around you and things that are in your possession as well. So you guys, please understand that we can no longer go the way that we have been through the ego perspective. We have to go within deeper and develop a relationship with ourselves, and to cultivate what is it that my heart, my soul is telling me, rather than my mind, rather than my traumas, rather than my fears. But this takes accountability. This has to do with you looking at the person in the mirror and facing the parts of yourself that you do not want to face. Because you can't have the gift of discernment and listening to your intuition if you're not willing to own the power that lies within you. So I share all of this for you guys to no longer fear what we are told, but to question it, to question yourself, to question the person in the mirror, and to start being very fucking curious about why the hell you are here. Why is it that this voice is getting louder? And what is it that your heart is really craving? So you guys, this whole episode was really for you to think. Think a little deeper. Think a little harder. Go within a little more. And cultivate that connection with the power that is your intuition. Because that is the only thing that's protecting you. That is the only thing that's protecting you, guiding you, and leading the way. The more you trust in that, the more you trust in yourself. The more you trust in yourself, the more you'll be fucking surprised on how powerful you are, to the point that the world starts to revolve around you, but not in the way where you seek attention, but in the way where you start to realize you really are the owner of your reality and the captain of your soul. So other than that, you guys, I really hope in a way this activated you. And until then, I'll see you on the next one. Only love.